Welcome to this explainer. Okay, so today we're going to completely demystify the Mixed Methods Appraisal Tool, otherwise known as the MMAT. If you're a systematic review author staring down a massive pile of highly heterogeneous study designs, feeling a little overwhelmed and wondering how on earth to fairly evaluate them all, you are in the exact right place. We're going to walk through a clear, step-by-step guide to appraising these diverse primary data sets so you can synthesize your evidence with absolute confidence. Let's dive in.
Let's take a quick look at our agenda for today. We're going to cover the Mixed Data Challenge, the MMAT solution, the 5 design categories, rating the core criteria, the strict no-scoring caveat, and finally, presenting your quality profile.
All right, diving right into Section 1, the Mixed Data Challenge, appraising diverse data.
You know, almost every systematic review author hits the same massive roadblock. You've got completely different types of primary data sitting in one single review. It's literally like trying to compare apples and oranges, right? If you treat a quick, kind of poorly designed quantitative survey the exact same way you treat a highly rigorous longitudinal qualitative study, well, you're going to completely undermine the validity of your entire synthesis. You just can't take every finding at face value.
And that brings us to why quality appraisal is absolutely mandatory in any rigorous systematic literature review. Look, appraisal isn't about judging if a study is just interesting or relevant to your topic. You already figured that out during your initial screening. Instead, quality appraisal systematically assesses the actual methodological rigor of the study. It answers the big, vital question: was this research conducted in a way that makes its findings truly trustworthy? Now, before you even begin to appraise, you've got a major decision to make, and you have to state this in your review protocol beforehand. Basically, you choose between two paths. First, there's threshold-based exclusion, where studies failing to meet a certain quality threshold just get tossed out entirely. This leaves you with a high-quality evidence base, but you risk losing what might be the only available evidence on super niche topics. Then there's the second, much more common approach, especially in business and management fields, which is the retain-all method. Here, you keep all your screened studies, but you use their quality profile to qualify the strength of the evidence later in your discussion. To be clear, neither approach is wrong, but what is absolutely indefensible is waiting to see the scores before you decide. You gotta choose up front.
Moving on to Section 2, enter the MMAT solution, the 2018 gold standard.
Okay, so your protocol is set, and now you need a tool to actually solve this mixed data challenge. Enter the MMAT. This tool has been refined since way back in 2006, going through rigorous pilot testing and modified E-Delphi studies with methodological experts, until it became an absolute gold standard. Now, if you look at the wider landscape, there are literally over 500 appraisal tools out there. But the MMAT is hands down the strongest choice when your included studies span multiple methodological types. Why? Because this one single tool handles them all consistently. Instead of driving yourself crazy trying to learn and apply 4 completely different checklists from 4 different organizations, the MMAT lets you do cross-study comparisons across a highly heterogeneous dataset, all under one unified framework. It's a real game changer.
By limiting its focus specifically to only the core, relevant methodological criteria, the MMAT gives you a remarkably time-efficient appraisal process while maintaining immense rigor. You aren't getting bogged down in minor reporting details, you're evaluating the real foundational mechanics of the research.
Next up, Section 3, the 5 design categories, breaking down the algorithm.
So, how exactly does the MMAT categorize that massive stack of diverse papers sitting on your desk? Well, it uses a beautifully simple building block approach, broken down into 5 specific design categories. These represent the most common designs you're going to encounter in mixed studies reviews: qualitative, randomized controlled trials, non-randomized, quantitative descriptive, and mixed methods. You just look at the paper and select the appropriate category. Got a qualitative study? Use the qualitative criteria. Got a quantitative one? Just pick between randomized, non-randomized, or descriptive.
Now, what happens when a primary study is itself mixed methods? The MMAT doesn't just toss it into a generic bucket. Instead, it actually respects those distinctive characteristics. You're required to evaluate the qualitative part of the study, then the quantitative part of the study, and finally, the actual mixed methods integration itself. So it's a really thorough sequential evaluation.
All right, Section 4, rating the core criteria. The checklist. Once you've picked the correct category, you're going to evaluate it based on a strict set of core criteria. And here's the beauty of it. Every single category features exactly 5 core criteria. Just 5. This keeps the whole tool perfectly streamlined. As a reviewer, your job is to physically check a box rating each of these 5 criteria. Your options are strict.
Yes, the criterion is met. No, it's not met, or can't tell if there just isn't enough info in the paper to make a fair judgment.
Let me offer a crucial piece of insider advice for this stage. You have to read the methods section of each paper deeply. Actually, read it twice. Authors don't always report their methods in detail in the abstract or the results, so you really have to go digging. You've got to learn to distinguish between a study that genuinely failed to address a methodological criterion and a study that actually did the work but just did a terrible job reporting it in the text. Remember, the MMAT evaluates methodological quality, not just reporting quality. That requires some careful interpretation on your part.
This brings us to Section 5, the strict no-scoring caveat. Beware of false precision.
Okay, listen up, because we are arriving at a massive misconception that could literally ruin your entire quality appraisal. When you've got a checklist of 5 items, you're going to be incredibly tempted to sum up your yes check marks and give a study a neat little score like 3 out of 5 stars or 60%. Do not do this. Seriously, the authors of the MMAT explicitly caution against summing these scores into a single number because it creates a really dangerous illusion of false precision.
So why is summing scores so bad? Well, because a single numerical score totally hides the actual methodological flaws. Think about it. If 2 different studies both score a 3 out of 5, they might have completely different critical weaknesses. One might have a completely flawed sampling strategy, while the other might have just failed to account for confounding variables. An overall numerical score tells the reader absolutely zero about which specific aspects of the study are problematic. It just strips away all the necessary context.
Finally, let's head into Section 6, Presenting Your Quality Profile, the final matrix.
So if you're forbidden from using a single numerical score, how on earth are you supposed to correctly present your findings?
Well, the gold standard here is a detailed profile matrix. In your results chapter, you're going to want to provide a summary table. You set it up with 1 row per study, columns for your specific criteria marked yes, no, or can't tell, and then a final column for an overall qualitative judgment, something like strong, moderate, or weak. And that's based on a holistic view of those specific answers, not a math equation.
This granular, transparent profile is incredibly powerful. It lets you easily spot patterns. For instance, maybe all your included studies share a common weakness, like a lack of reflexivity. You can then weave that insight directly into your discussion chapter. When interpreting conflicting findings between 2 papers, you can transparently point out whether the study with the stronger methodological profile favors one conclusion over the other. Quality becomes a really useful lens for interpretation, rather than just a hurdle you had to clear.
As you move forward to evaluate your own heterogeneous evidence base, I really hope you feel empowered to tackle the mixed data challenge head-on. Remember, ditch the false precision of numerical scores and fully embrace the rich, contextual, and rigorous methodology that the MMAT provides. It's going to make your review so much stronger. So, I'll leave you with this final thought. How will you weave this nuanced quality profile into your next systematic review to uncover the true strength of your evidence? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and happy researching.